Hey folks, welcome to Econ 360. Today we have Mohammed Qureshi, who is the founder of leading pet product, which is InstaChew. Welcome, Mohammed. I think we should start off by talking about your inception story. But before that, we would like to know a little bit about you. What is your background? How did you come across this product? And what were you doing prior to starting this company?
Yeah, so as typical as it is with most entrepreneurs, my background is nothing related to what I'm doing right now. And it was kind of a amalgamation of different things I was doing throughout the years that kind of led me to this point. So my background educationally, I did political science, did 1 year in law school, found out it wasn't for me. And from there, I jumped into the banking world and I did various different roles within the banking side of things. My final role as being a consultant for operation and process engineering. But at the same time, I still had that entrepreneurial itch where I wanted to do something differently. And coincidentally, and maybe fatally told, I got a dog around that same time. And while I was working full time, I had to take care of this little child puppy. And I found it very challenging. I had to feed him on time, give him water, but with my full time schedule, I found it very challenging. So I know I kind of jumped over from where I started, but that was my background, and that's kind of how I ended up with the dog. And where Institute was born was when I realized, hey, how do I take care of my pet while being at work full time? So that's kind of the thought process behind Institute. And I quickly realized that I wanted to make pet care easier for
Mhm.
myself and for my pet.
So, from a banker to a pet tech product entrepreneur, it's been interesting how your journey has been transforming. But one thing is, conceiving the idea, but then implementing it is whole another domain. How did you go about implementing the pet tech product idea that you had? Did you have any prior engineering experience, or did you employ a team of engineers? How did you go about having rolling out the product?
So one thing I would say is, I guess it's probably all the group projects we did when we were kids. One
Mhm.
thing that I'm really good at is becoming a quarterback. So although I don't have the technical skill to do the genius level of work that some most tech people do, I was able to find the right people to execute the vision. And firstly, before we even got to that point, I partnered up with my business partner, Ramin Sadat, who
Mhm.
at that time was my neighbor. And when I had gotten my dog, I walked over to his house and I was like, hey, I have a great idea. Essentially, I had spent the entire night thinking of ways to automate pet care for my pet. And he at the time, his family background and him, they were heavily into business. They did a lot of overseas trade. So they were involved in a lot of Chinese trade as well.
Mhm.
So we had familiarity with that marketplace, which I did not, and we kind of collaborated on firstly getting our foot in the door and going over there and trying to source, uh, you know, from the supply side to the engineer side, what we need to get done, and that's where it originally incepted from. My basement, and from there we made our way over to China, and through our network, we started introducing ourselves to players in the space, in the pet care space.
Amazing. And once you got your suppliers, once you got your product, how did you start marketing? Because, I'm sure you had engineers to help you with actually rolling out the product, but marketing could be quite challenging, especially for first-time entrepreneurs. So, how did you go about cracking marketing?
So our first foray into marketing was when we had our finished product. Um, we went on a road show, so to speak. So
Mhm.
I had a Honda CRV at the time, so I remember we would load the trunk up with tables, product, marketing material, and we would drive to wherever there was a pet show. So we were doing a lot of pet shows to kind of get our foot in the ground to kind of get an understanding of what the market needs and wants. So we would drive 3 hours, 2 hours, wherever we needed to get to a pet show, set up shop, a small little table with myself and Remain, just with our product and our words, and we were able to, really demonstrate that there was a huge demand of people like me who needed this. And that's kind of where we realized, hey, wait, this is an actual needs-based solution. You know, some of the best problems you solve is for people that actually have the problem, right?
Mhm.
Raising awareness of what that is kind of what we did over the past several years by doing these marketing initiatives. But yeah, that was our first foray into everybody, the sexy thing is digital marketing. We went old school. We put some IKEA tables together, threw some electronics on there, and went flea market style. So yeah,
No,
we did it.
that's great too, because I'm sure you got like your first hand feedback from your customers, or probably people who are going to use the product, and you could also demonstrate it to them on their pets. Like, they had their pets right next to them. Probably it was easier for you to demonstrate it, how easy your product was, or how without the owner really being there, or the pet parent really being around all the time, the pets can still be fed or can still have their water. So all that probably you were able to demonstrate better when in person rather than through digital. Moving on to how you actually went about scaling the product, and also ensuring that it actually lives up to the quality that you assure. Did you receive any feedback from your customers? Did you get any reviews from your customers? How do you go about building your product?
Yeah, I think it's about keeping your ear to the ground. So knowing not only they say KYC, right? But that stands several things for me. Know your customer, know your competition.
Mhm.
So I take it in a multifaceted way, and that's kind of the approach we took, where we had our pulse to the ground, ear to the ground, and our pulse on the heartbeat, so to speak, right? And essentially, um, for us, we wanted to make sure that we lived up to what our vision, which was just to make pet care easier. And to give you some more context, we have devices such as smart pet feeders, smart water fountains, smart litter boxes, which connect to our app, which is InstaChew Infinity. And our whole premise now is to not only do we have the IoT base where people can have devices that connect to your app, but the eventuality is, you'll have the ability to get grooming services through the app. You'll be able to get pet insurance through the app. So we're essentially in the process of building a 360 marketplace for pet care. And I guess that couldn't happen without the feedback that we receive from our customers. And for us, it's all constructive, right? The good, the bad, the ugly. We heard it all, whether we were protected via emails or whether we got it right face to face when we were at our trade shows. But I think one thing to be successful is you have to always self reflect and understand it's okay to make mistakes, but it's our responsibility to correct them as a business, who has other individuals who have purchased our goods and services. It's our responsibility to ensure that they have the top tier service. So that's kind of the mentality we've always had.
And also, I noticed that you're not just online, you're also at Walmart, you're at Target, and you're partnered with multiple pet brands. How did that transition happen? Did you start both together, online as well as retail together, or did it happen after a certain sales revenue number is when you actually thought of transitioning to retail as well?
So we started originally on the .com side of things, and there was two ways we marketed. We had our, of course, Google, Facebook ads through our direct InstaChew.com channel, I should say, and we of course did those B2C shows where we'd go out and go to any pet show that we could think of or see. So that was the first foray into it that helped us get that momentum on the e-commerce and direct consumer route. And then, we started onboarding onto marketplaces such as Amazon, Wayfair, Walmart, and then naturally, as we progress, we were able to get a hold of buyers, in the PetSmart side of the world, the Walmart side of the world, and so on and so forth, and several other key launches that are coming up, which I can't share just yet. But yeah, we were able to get a hold of these buyers and directly talk to them and facilitate an in-store opportunity. And typically, I would say retail is a little bit more risk adverse with new
Mm.
brands, where in the past money was being thrown around. They'd onboard a product if they liked it. Uh, Whereas now it's more of a let's see how it does online and then bring it in-store approach. And that's kind of the route that we had to take. And it proved successful nonetheless for us because we've launched in over 2,000 stores across the US,
Wow.
which includes all PetSmart stores and includes an ever increasing number of Walmart stores. So Walmart is doing a staggered launch with us in which I don't know if you've heard of Walmart doing a reconstruction of their stores, but essentially as they renovate all of these stores, they're placing InstaChew into each of these stores. We have about 11 products within Walmart, and we have close to 6 products in select PetSmart stores and about 3 products in all PetSmart stores across Canada and USA. So that's kind of how it took path. And I find that once you get that one major feather in the cap player, others are more inclined because
Yeah.
it's in a way a validation of due diligence, right? It's like, okay,
True.
somebody has done their diligence on these guys. And on that note, it wasn't a quick, oh, we just got Walmart, oh, we just got PetSmart. It was like a year and a half long process in which
Mm.
we were vetted against other competitors and incumbents in the space. And after and only after that lengthy process, they chose us. So
That's amazing. That's fantastic. So, moving on to so was it because of the shipping challenges that you had online that you moved to retail? Has it got anything to do with moving retail, or was it purely from a revenue perspective? And also, please tell us about what are the shipping challenges that you faced when you were having a purely online store.
yeah, so as far as why we did that split to in-store, I mean, it was a strategic opportunity, of course, revenue driven. When you're getting mass orders like that, it's hard to say no. But also from a brand exposure perspective, right? There's only so much marketing you could do as a startup.
True.
There's always that, a little bit of luck involved in terms of virality. But what this allowed us to do was get that national brand exposure um, across the US, have distribution points across the US, availability. Being present is raising awareness in a way. And that's kind of what we were able to do by having these opportunities in store. Now, as far as the shipping side of things on the D2C, um, you know, for sure, like initially when you start, there's always challenges because you're dealing with low volume and a lot of, shipping conglomerates deal with high volume clients. And that's where you really see the discounts and you have to kind of make the margins work. And it's also a little bit challenging when you're trying to find the footing in the market because with us, we were relatively new ourselves, but the whole sector itself from pet technology was new. So there was no like foundational base of what the standard is. So we kind of had to find that footing in terms of margins, what to sell our products for, but also the shipping challenges that come with being a startup, which is mostly volume based. And there's a lot of, conglomerates that have and a like shipping chimp, like Freightcom, several e-shipper. There's a lot of opportunities like that are now available that weren't there when we started that provide those bulk discounts via their platform. So I think the landscape has changed compared to where we started 7 years ago. And I'm glad there's a lot more option and there's a lot more competition on the shipping side, but that was originally one of our challenges for sure.
Okay, great. So when you were talking about shipping challenges, was packaging? I saw a couple of your products, and I was wondering how you managed to package it, how you managed to transport it without really any faulty pieces. So I'm sure those were challenges that you faced initially when you had your purely online store as well, because shipping could be extremely challenging for the product that you have, right? Small products are easier, apparel is easier, but a tech product for a pet, you have to make sure that it is not faulty and it does not get damaged on the way. So how did you go and meet those challenges head on?
Yeah, so as far as from a packaging and shipping perspective, you know, we designed our own packaging in-house.
Mhm.
And from a shipping of that package, we made sure that either it was packaged correctly with poly mailers or bubble wrap or whatever the case may be. But I think what's crucial also is You don't want stickers all over your package when it's arriving to the customer because you still want to give them that feeling of buying it in store,
Mm.
untampered, so to speak. And that's kind of the experience you want them to have when they open up the product. You want them to make it feel like it's premium, and that involves ensuring that you are taking the necessary measures to ensure there's no damage to your packaging. So we did that. We operated our own warehouse,
Mm.
so we were able to firsthand, get an idea of what needs to be done to ensure that integrity. And now that we've switched over to a 3PL model, we've passed those learnings on and worked with our 3PL partner to ensure that continues. But yeah, there's of course a process there that's involved, and everybody should, in my opinion, undertake that because it's like on getting your brand new car, right? You don't want to see a scratch on it when you get it.
That's true. I mean, you don't want customers complaining about it when you start off with 3PL and 3PLs don't know how to ship your product or how to package your product. So you wouldn't want that. So we're almost towards the end of the podcast. What would be your advice to upcoming entrepreneurs if anyone comes up with a new idea? What would you say is the right way to go about it? How do you validate it? How do you implement it? How do you scale it?
I would say sometimes you just have to do, right?
Mhm.
I think we always get caught in the game of thinking, strategizing, thinking. But sometimes the best learnings are by doing. Practice makes perfect, they say, and I feel like that's the case when it comes to the entrepreneurial journey. You won't know until you try. And I think that's would be my advice is, if you have an idea, you feel confident about it, you'll never have that perfect plan, right? It's always a work in progress. So my advice is to just do it, and aim for the best, and always be adaptable and agile and versatile. So if you need to pivot, you need to pivot. If you made a wrong decision, it's fine, as long as you recognize it and you're able to make that change. So that would be my advice.
Awesome. Go all in. That's your advice. So thank you so much for being on Ecom 360. And if you're watching this or if you're listening to this, please check out InstaChew. They have really cute pet tech products. You could, probably check out their website. Also check out their Instagram for videos on pet and pet tech products. So it'll be interesting to check out these amazing furry friends who are actually making use of the pet tech products. So thank you so much, Mohammed, for being on podcast today. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.